Hey all, here are OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at Vastking's KingPad SA10. This is a 10-inch Android 10 tablet that sells for under $170, making it relatively inexpensive, a competitor to the likes of the Amazon Fire tablets and other more affordable devices on the market, has a full HD screen resolution, again Android 10.0, and also has a Octa-Core processor clocked at 1.6 GHz, coupled with 3 GB of RAM, as well as a USB Type-C port. It also has a 13 megapixel rear camera and a 5 megapixel cam for video conferencing. Finally, there is a 6,000 milliamp hour capacity battery, which is rated to last up to 12 hours of light usage. By the way, the built-in memory is 32 gigabytes, but it's further expandable via a micro SD card slot if you want to supplement that memory, and it does have dual band 2.4G and 5G Wi-Fi. So inside of the box itself, we have, of course, the tablet, and we also have a wall adapter, pretty typical, in addition to a USB Type-C charging cable, standard stuff these days, and also looks like a semi-ejector tool, but that's just designed for the micro SD card slot. This is not a 4G or cellular-enabled tablet, so it relies on Wi-Fi for internet connectivity. There's also a quick start guide, and finally a user manual. So taking a closer look at the design of the SA10, first impressions, again, it's very premium and feels quite solid in the hand thanks to the all-metal build. It's also relatively slim as well. Almost reminds me of something that maybe HTC would have made back in the day, because the entire body, again, is made out of one chunk of metal. There are no seams or edges apart from an antenna strip on the back, but even the part that wraps around it is still made out of metal. On the edge here, we do have a power key along with a volume rocker, and the power key here is also textured, so it makes it easier to click and find. There's nothing on the very top aside from the expansion slot for the micro SD card, and then on the very bottom here is where we have the USB Type-C port for charging. It takes about 2.5 hours to fully charge. There's a standard 3.5mm headphone jack along with stereo speakers, which is always nice to see. However, I will say that I would have preferred if one of the speakers would be placed on the other side of the tablet instead. That would give it more of a stereo separation, but it is what it is. Here's what the tablet looks like on the back. We can see again, it's made entirely out of metal. We have the 13 megapixel camera, although it doesn't have an LED flash, and then just the Vastking logo. So built very well, feels super solid. In fact, as good as an iPad, I'd say. Turning things around, we have the 10.1-inch display, which is IPS, meaning that viewing angles are very good. It doesn't really change even as I shift it across and look at it at different angles. It's also a fully laminated display, so there's no gap between the screen and also the glass on top, so it prevents glare a little bit more. Overall, it's a pretty high-quality screen, I'd say, in terms of the sharpness. It's plenty sufficient at this price range and helps make the battery last a little bit longer as well. No issues as far as visibility. I will say that maybe you could get a touch brighter if you're outdoors, but overall, for most conditions, especially indoors, it works without any issues. Now, I will say that the top and bottom sections of the bezels are a little bit larger than the right and left sides, but overall, since you're holding the tablet in your hands, it doesn't become too big of an issue, although it does create the effect that the tablet has a slightly wider screen than normal, although it is a rather standard 16:9 aspect ratio. Now, almost immediately, we can see that the tablet does have a very clean version of Android 10.0 installed, basically without any bloatware. We have access to all the gestures in terms of navigation, including things like multitasking. You can hide all the keys down below to make it more of a maximized full screen view. Other specialties baked into the software include a dark theme, so if you're at night or you want to conserve on battery, you can toggle that on or off, and there's even some special power saving modes, including a smart saving mode, which is just a typical usage. There's also an ultra power saving mode that will restrict the usage only to certain applications, allowing the tablet to last longer. And then under settings, we do also have some other controls, including access to gestures, such as picking up the tablet, the screen will automatically turn on, double tap to wake the screen, things like that. Basically an unsolicited version of Android 10.0 without much changes. Now, the device's general navigation feels smooth enough, not too many issues here, although I will say that in terms of multitasking using the gesture navigation, sometimes there is a split-second hesitation for the graphics to render. So if we do a quick test of that, you can see it's split for a second, and then pops onto the full view. But overall, as far as the speed of the usability is concerned, no real issues there. Everything still feels fast enough considering this is a budget tablet. Let's take a quick look at the speaker and video watching experience using YouTube. Alright, so the takeaway is the overall quality of the speakers are good. They're slightly above average, I'd say, in terms of their overall cleanness of the sound, the fact that it is a stereo pair, so you get more volume than some mono speakers on the market, and the placement on the edge here is at least better than a placement on the back of the tablet, which would have been easier to cover up. Still, I definitely would have liked to have, again, one speaker on the top to have more of an immersion effect, since it is a widescreen tablet. You'll be using it in this position more often, and it's more comfortable for video watching. So putting it like here is only going to really benefit if you're listening to music. But of course, you can always make do with your own headphones or using Bluetooth wireless headphones to supplement it instead. Overall, decent enough quality. The overall display quality here is also, again, very good in terms of watching back videos. Reception quality in terms of Wi-Fi is also quite strong, consistently getting almost full bars even when you're slightly further away from the router. So despite the fact this is a fully metal tablet, the reception using the integrated antenna bands do seem to be working quite well. No issues in terms of scrubbing between parts of the video and enjoying that overall consumption experience for media. So a pretty good entertainment tablet, I'd say, for watching back videos. Feels comfortable, slim and lightweight, but feels very solid in the hand and enjoyable in terms of the display. We can kind of exit out of this, and with Android 10.0 we do have, again, picture-in-picture, so we can multitask and have a floating window of this video playing back. The keyboard, by the way, is also stock, so it's basically Gboard that's built on in, and we don't have any bloatware of any kind built onto the OS in terms of any additional software. But taking a quick look at the web browsing experience using just Chrome, let's try loading back The Verge, and you can see here how long it takes to fully render the page. It's a desktop version of the site, so pretty complex with lots of ads and videos and other elements, but loading along just fine here. We can, of course, pinch to zoom to get a larger view. That also works quite well. Overall, it still is a very comfortable experience. I will say that after using this tablet for, say, more than an hour, it gets slightly warm on the section that's closer to the antenna band on the top. It never gets too hot, doesn't really thermal throttle or anything like that, but this part does get a little bit warmer compared to the bottom portion. I would say you can comfortably open around 5 or 6 tabs with the 3 gigs of RAM, and it still becomes a pretty fluid experience. So you can definitely get a little bit of productivity done or some more complex web browsing. No real issues there. Fluidity is still quite good. If we in fact jump and minimize the screen, we can see that we have about 1 gig remaining. We have 2 tabs open right now and a few other apps running in the background. If we jump very quickly into the camera, again, cameras on tablets I never think is going to be a huge priority compared to smartphones. The interface, though, is very clean and stock to what Android provides. We do have some additional settings like HDR, and then scrub to the left to change back and forth between recording video or taking images with the sensor. So here's a quick look at some sample images. Overall, the colors that are reproduced are still pretty natural looking. It's by no means the most detailed camera in the world, but at the same time, again, text details are legible. So if we're scanning in a paper or a document, it does a good enough job and still looks actually surprisingly solid for a budget tablet. Front-facing camera also is a decent performer for things like selfies and for video conferencing. As long as you have a bit of background light around you, it does well enough. There's a built-in FM radio as well as a sound recorder. Both are extra utilities which do work as expected. Pretty simple, but not too many issues there. In terms of the Play Store, of course, you're able to download any application that you would want as long as you have enough memory on the device. And you can also supplement that, again, using an SD card, so it shouldn't be too big of an issue. As a quick test, I've installed a few games, and once games do open up, everything does load along just fine after you give it a few seconds to get a little bit faster. Overall, it's a pretty enjoyable experience and didn't face too many problems, especially for more light games as well as titles which have more 2D style animations, puzzle games. You won't really find too many issues or complaints, despite not being, say, the fastest thing in the world. Here is an Asphalt 8 kind of racetrack loading along, and surprisingly, things are still being handled quite well. No real problems in terms of thermal throttling, and of course, you can't expect frame rates to be perhaps buttery smooth, but at the same time, it's not going to be a kind of real constraint to still enjoying the game either. Still is definitely playable, as you can see here. So it just takes a little bit longer to load back most games, but after they open, it does all right, despite not being again, perfect in terms of buttery smooth, fastest frame rates all the time. That does mean that it can also handle other complicated games as well. If you want to try things like PUBG, that will definitely work as well. So that's more or less it as far as our quick review of the KingPad SA10 by Vastking, a 10-inch Android tablet which is inexpensive, budget-oriented, but also surprisingly well built and just extremely slim and very premium feeling because of the entire aluminum unibody build. So if you want a more stock feeling tablet compared to, say, Amazon's Fire 10 HD, this might be a good alternative to take a closer look at. You have access to the full Play Store, and you're able to download all the games and content that you would want yourself. So you can check out more details if interested in the links down below, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the KingPad SA10 from Vastking.